Switzerland I had one workshop that was more like casual, a few people. And I had another workshop one day in Indonesia, in Yogyakarta during the Sales Button Festival. But this one I think is the first like more focused workshop on the microscopy issue. Talking about pixels, the other project I really think is interesting, and it's an open source project, so all the hardware is available, all the data is available online. It's been developed by Olaf Wahl. He has been doing that for like 6 years already, and now it's really in a nice format that every school can just pick it up as a workshop concept. It's a microcontroller board that has a Atmel, so it's compatible to the very popular Arduino platform, which is around at the moment. It's already got like 6 buttons included and a display. Now it's more than 1 pixel. We're talking about 5 by 7, so it's 35 pixels. You can imagine what it makes. So we can create now nice little visuals using these pixels, and we can also program games and make sound. There's like a little shooter. So this workshop, it takes a bit longer. This is like a 1-week workshop. We did like half a day per class with kids at the age of like 11, 12 years old. And so it's an introduction. We do a little bit of soldering, but it's just to have the fun of having to build your own Game Boy. But then it's mostly a programming workshop. So we introduce the kids into programming. And Olaf Wahl has developed libraries and a programming language on top of the C language. It's really easy for people to understand. So it's like loops, and you have then this set pixel, and you put a pixel at a specific position with a specific brightness. It's kind of easy for the kids to learn. But then if some of the kids have never even heard of brackets, you know, the mathematical concept of brackets, so it's a bit difficult if you don't know what a bracket is. So we had to do a lot of debugging with them. And the fun thing is working with the kids with this workshop is I have been a gamer, as I told you. The kids are still gamers, and I was impressed that even, you know, they all have iPhones. They have massive like computing power at home, and I was a bit cautious that they might not like it because it only has 35 pixels, but it really worked out perfectly. They loved it. So just on the first day when they started gaming, this kind of virtual kind of gameplay happened in their minds. So they came up with all these different game concepts. So they completely lose the concept of the display and the pixel, and suddenly they're a magician walking through a forest, or they're like saving the Earth from like spaceships and aliens and all that stuff. So what I was used to playing the crap games like 20 years ago, this like virtual world that happens during the gameplay, I don't need more pixels to have the feeling of being a hero with a sword and saving princesses. And the game concepts, these are like the nice ones. It's mostly violence, explicit violence and pornography. So there's like a secret button and you can go into the porn mode. It's a 12-year-old kid. I had to allow it to him because like it needs so much imagination to see anything, so it was kind of okay. So we came, and these discussions we had with the kids, like, why is a game fun? What makes it a game and not just like homework? What's the difference between doing like homework or math and making a game? That was really interesting discussions, and it was the first time I did it, and I was really impressed to what extent this workshop has already been developed, that it really works out. So thanks to Olaf Wahl for that. So all this project, they involved like a collaboration of like, let's say, technologists and scientists together with artists. The audience was either artists or kids. By having done that like for the last couple of years now, and I started teaching now in a normal, let's say, polytechnical school again. So of course this has influenced me, the way I teach, and now I also introduced this way I've been learning the last few years into my teaching in a kind of straight-edge polytechnical medical technology school I work. It's called Fachhochschule Nordwestschweiz, the Polytechnical University of Northwestern Switzerland, I think. This is the logo. I like these pixel games again, so I kind of started a new project a year ago, and I wanted my students as a practical lab course to produce a game by the use of micro nanotechnology and living beings, but having a game concept. So first of all, because I want them to be inspired and have fun, and also I think the problems they solve on the way is the same as a proper research project. Because I don't do research at this university, I cannot include them in my own research, so I include them in a more fun project. So it's called kind of a creativity approach to project-based learning in microfluidics. Microfluidics is just like tiny little micron-sized channels where we pump fluids. It's a new tool for drug discovery and for like medical applications. These are all my students. And I showed them as an inspiration the first computer game. Some people say it's the second. This is called Tennis for Two. Has anybody heard of it? It's like in '57 in, I think, Brookhaven Laboratories, a national lab in the US. It's all analog computing. This is like the computing behind it. This here is the screen. It's an oscilloscope, and it's got real physics. So you have a ball like passing both sides, and you have a pad. It looks like a game pad. It's got a few buttons. So they came up with all these ideas of like modern gaming. This was just an exhibit for like an open day at this national lab, and it's been destroyed afterwards. So there's no plans or anything for it. But if you think that they had no clue about like gaming industry and to what extent this idea of using a computer to have fun now is just a massive industry. Like it's bigger than movies in Hollywood. You know, if the new games are just like a big market. So maybe, I don't know, I don't think that this like bio gaming is going to be like a big breakthrough, but this is just an inspiration. So microfluidics, we make like simple microfluidics. I don't have like a proper clean room facilities, so we do simple fluidic channels. We can pump liquids through and have funny colors. We work with cells and microorganisms. So working with cells is a bit more difficult. I have the tools there so I can do it. This is part of my own research. Maybe you can see the logo of the university showing up. So what we see here is human cells. They're called HeLa. They've been living for like 80 years in culture. You see them dividing everywhere, and they form a pattern. So I developed in my PhD methods to be able to pattern living cells to make them grow in a specific shape and in specific locations. The same you can also do with more simple like microorganisms. The idea of this wet pong project is that I would like to kind of include more other schools to join more in a kind of a game competition, having like these ideas of micro nanotechnology and living combined system to make a game concept. I like to cite James Gimzewski, by the way, is the partner of Victoria Vesna, who's an exhibition here. He's like running this art and science program at UCLA, but he's himself working in nanotechnology. He said that creativity is becoming more important than knowledge because knowledge is distributed on the internet where anyone can get it. This is partly true, like a lot of knowledge is distributed on the internet, but then like there's this Creative Commons and all these patenting issues, so I also try to have this project really publish everything the students work so that get them into like this movement of open source and sharing. So the next project, I'm with the similar terms, what I want to do is, and I'm trying a grant for that at the moment, is also these micro nanotechnologies to develop tools that I can really bridge now to even further out. So I want to collaborate with artists on these subject matters of like nano and biotechnology to be able maybe to do a simple workshop like the little electronics thing with kids or at the gallery to introduce people in this very kind of contemporary field of nanobiotechnology. What you see here is a motor protein that's like muscle contraction, and they move like all the stuff in our cells. It is a single protein that can do mechanical motion. So this whole robotics thing you can think also on a single protein level. That's something I know a lot about, but I would like to figure out ways to really tell people what exactly happens at that length scale.